All right, everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Chris Sanchez. I'm an assistant director with Undergrad Admission, Transfer Recruitment, and today we're going to have a student panel. Some of our current transfer students are here to share more about themselves and why they chose UCLA. So if there's any questions, please go ahead and type them in the chat. We also have somebody that is going to be giving us some questions. But yeah, we're going to be going over some questions for the next half an hour. We also have our director from the Transfer Center joining us later on today to share more resources about, from UCLA, a little bit about her journey too, and some of the collaborations that we have here at UCLA for our transfer students. So we're going to do some introductions first and foremost. And then again, thank you for joining us. We hope that you find this session very helpful. Adriana, you want to go first?
Hi, everyone. My name is Adriana, and I'm an admissions officer with UCLA. Thank you for joining us today.
All right, my name's Anu Berg. I am a senior, and I'm a first-gen transfer student at UCLA from Glendale Community College. I transferred from Glendale.
Hi guys, my name's Saeed Ahmad. I'm a third-year undergraduate student, psychology major on a pre-law path, and I transferred from Norco College.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea. I'm a first-year transfer student and a junior, and I'm an English major. I transferred from Santa Monica Community College, and my hometown is Inglewood.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. Again, between Adriana and myself, we're going to be rotating some questions. Feel free to share as much as you can, so that if our students have any questions, they can follow up later on. All right?
Okay, well, to start off, when you were at community college, what were you looking for in a university, and how did you ultimately decide that UCLA was your choice school?
So I was looking for somewhere where I would be embraced as a transfer student because one of my fears was not feeling as legitimate as traditional students. And I don't know if either of you felt that way too. And when I visited UCLA, I saw the Transfer Student Center, and I saw, we have our own logo that literally is I heart UCLA, I heart transfers, and UCLA is in the heart. So it's such a part of UCLA's culture, and that was really important to me. So I knew that's why I wanted to come here. That was one of my main reasons.
Personally, for me, UCLA had been my dream school since I was in high school. When you think of UCLA, you think of notable alumni, you think of Jackie Robinson, you think of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And one thing about UCLA was that it wasn't just academic focused, and it wasn't just focused on extracurriculars, and it wasn't just focused on sports. We're really holistic in terms of how good we are, the way we balance. We have some of the best sports teams in the countries. We're the #1 public university in America. So, and also being in Los Angeles, the types of connections that you get in an institution over here, it's unmatched anywhere else. So that's what I was looking for at UCLA.
Yeah, I think my experience was a little bit more similar to Andrea's, where I just wanted to feel welcomed in a community, and I had gone to quite a few different UCs, and I just felt when I walked in the Transfer Center, I think Heather has an amazing presence. She just makes you feel welcomed, and I think that belonging was something that I really, really wanted, and I found it here, and that's why I ended up coming here. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's something that a lot of our students, they value, right? Feeling welcome and at home. So that's a pretty good transition into our next question. So what was your transition from community college to UCLA like?
That was, I'm not going to lie, it was very tough because when you come from community college and you kind of have built a little community there, you kind of are transferring in this new little world. And I think partially was my fault where I didn't, utilize the Transfer Center as much my first year. There's mentors and there's so many resources, but when I first got here, I was no, I'll be fine. I was fine at my community college. I did so great. I'm going to do great. But it is a bigger campus. It is a new environment. So you really have to step out of your little bubble and take that initiative to get those little resources and kind of connect, make that connection again.
Personally, for me, I was kind of blessed in a way that I had friends who already came to UCLA, so they were able to give me some good tips about the transition. Both me and Andrea did a program known as a TSP, and if you are eligible for it, it's a great program to get assimilated into the university's culture. And while it is a rigorous 6 weeks, it's really worth it. And the subsequent quarters that you have after, it's relatively easier for you. So that's what I would say. Transition went pretty well, really focused on grades in the first couple of quarters, and then kind of eased into extracurriculars once I knew that I could take the course load.
And just another note about the transfer summer program. The reason why it's rigorous is because it's 12 units in 6 weeks. Just to give you an idea of what the quarter system's like and what its demands are. But like Saeed said, if you are eligible, please do it. It is through the Academic Advancement Program, AAP. And because of it, fall quarter was a lot more smooth for me,
Oh, yeah.
and
Absolutely.
probably for Saeed. Because we came out of the program like so confident. I personally came out of that program thinking if I could do that, I could do anything. Like I kind of felt invincible. So we highly recommend it.
Great. Perfect. So we're gonna go into the next question.
Now, as current UCLA students, do you mind sharing of any activities that you might be involved on campus? And that's, through a range of different things like internships, research, jobs on campus, whatever you'd like to share.
So I'm currently a mentor with the Transfer Center. I wasn't a mentee my first year, but it was something where I went through a hard time, so I really wanted to make sure that I could be there for other transfer students. And I think it's been an amazing experience because I feel like it's helped me. Like they've mentored me in a way as well as I've mentored. It's like kind of like a collective, fun little collaboration. And then also I'm a research assistant in Dr. Kelman's lab for perception and technology, and that's been a lot of fun.
So personally for me, I'm one of the co-chairs for the Transfer Pre-Law Society, and I've also divided my time as a member in various organizations, the PSA, the Muslim Student Association, and other organizations on campus.
Awesome. Well, my favorite org, I'd have to say, is Hermanas Unidas. I don't know if there's any Latinas watching, but it's an amazing org for any Latinas on campus. I'm also a part of the Alumni Scholars Club, and I frequent the University Catholic Center, which has really helped me grow spiritually. And I think based on all of our responses, it just goes to show that there's anything for you here. There's over 1,000 clubs and orgs. So if nothing we said you can relate to, you will find something that will enrich your undergrad experience and something that's meaningful to you.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing about your engagement on campus. So now we're going to talk a little bit about living on campus or not living on campus and what's the situation. I feel like a lot of our students, they have questions about the housing situation, right? So if you can share a little bit about, what was your process, when you were looking for housing, and if you decided to live on campus, what was the process? And if you decided to commute, how's that going for you?
Perfect.
So I have commuted both of my years. I initially planned to move on to campus, but it potentially just didn't work out. And then I have been commuting. It's been a tough process because in traffic, guys, LA traffic is horrible. If there's no traffic, it takes about 35 to 40 minutes. And then with traffic, it's an hour and a half. So those times were kind of initially just adjusting to that was pretty difficult. But what I realized was if I just kind of use that time to kind of calm myself and listen to podcasts and kind of use that time productively, it helped it make it a lot more smoother, and I was kind of more motivated to stay on campus. And then also there's commuter breakfast and stuff like that where you can always go and you get free food, which I mean, who doesn't enjoy free food? So that is there is a community out here for commuters, so it's not like you're just commuting and you're the only person commuting. So that's something that made my commute easier.
Personally for me, so I've lived on campus here at UCLA. I live in Saxon Suites. And one thing I've noticed is that living on campus, one of the advantages is you can kind of save time, and also you can get to your classes much quicker as well. If you're transferring into UCLA, I highly suggest going into Holly, because Holly is reserved just for transfer students, and they have a concept known as live learning communities where you're able to develop bonds with your fellow transfers as well. And me and Andrea, we were in TSP, so we kind of had that experience beforehand. But I highly suggest if you're coming into UCLA and you want to live on campus, pick Holly.
So I commute. I drive from my house to the train station and then take the bus that leaves you on campus. And it works out for me, and to a lot of people that sounds crazy, but I think there's pros and cons to either commuting or housing. And I ended up commuting because it ended up working out best for my family and specifically our financial situation. It's just cheaper for me to commute personally. And you will have to make that decision for yourself too. But some of the pros to commuting is definitely, like I said, cheaper. And you can also use that time to de-stress, which Anu kind of talked about. So sometimes I can either catch up on reading or read on my commute, but I can also just stare out the window or listen to music or maybe like just close my eyes a little bit, meditate. So it works out for me. And then I think another pro to commuting is that you get to leave campus and it's like a nice break. Whereas I've heard from some friends that if you live on campus, sometimes you can feel like tired of the environment. So it's really nice to be able to go home and then like recharge and then come back the next day. So I think it'll just be a personal choice that you're just gonna have to decide for yourself and what works out best.
Great. All of you sort of talk a little bit about this as far as parking. Can you talk a little bit more about what was your experience? If you're commuting, did you think about getting parking on campus? What was that process, or just trying to figure out? And also for you, since you were living on campus, were you able to get parking your first year, or what is the situation moving forward?
Yeah, so my first quarter, as I mentioned, I was thinking about living on campus, so I actually missed the deadline in order to get my parking pass for, the situation on like at school. And I wasn't aware that you can apply later on with like a transfer center. There's like other ways. I was just kind of freaking out, and one of my friends told me, oh, you can get one off campus, and I would kind of like park off campus at like one of the apartments parking lots and then walk over. But I am so glad that I like realized that you can apply, and it happens like a quarter before what you need, and you have to like be on it, on top of it, like have it all ready. It takes like less than 5 minutes, so it's not like a long process. Just make sure you do it, because that makes life so much easier, because they actually give you parking that's closer to where your classes are, and it saves so much time. Like instead of spending like 45 minutes just like parking, walking over, getting situated, I'm not like sweaty when I come to class, and I'm like actually well presented. So please do that. Yeah.
Personally, for me, while I don't bring my car to campus, I would agree with you that make sure you hit those deadlines. Make sure you're ahead of the curve in terms of parking. If you want a parking pass, I suggest joining the Facebook groups as well, because many people might be selling their parking passes, or there might be different scenarios going on. So just be on the top of things.
If you are planning on commuting, definitely look at the options that you have through the UCLA Transportation Office. So I use the Bruin Go Pass, and it allows so I pay like $35 a quarter, and I have unlimited bus rides through the Santa Monica bus. All of those details and like what passes you need to buy depend on the region where you're commuting from or what that will look like for you. So definitely just look at what those options are for you through the UCLA Transportation Office. And also Google Maps is always a great way to figure out your route. They give you a bus and train scenario as well, and routes that you can take. So that's a helpful planner.
And just to wrap it up with this, as far as like transportation, commuting, what about getting to classrooms and maybe to the labs or like work, if you're working on campus? Because I know that there's a lot of questions or some students that they ask about, like, is there Uber, Lyft, and the birds on campus, right? Have you utilized any of those services?
So I've seen people riding the birds, and I'm always like, I want to do that before I graduate. So I have about 4 weeks left. So I personally haven't used any of that, but I think walking is like, it's worked out fine for me. Like sometimes I had class from one corner to another corner, but even that, like, the campus is so beautiful that like you walk through gardens and all that stuff. So it's not really like, oh, I have to walk all the way. It's kind of like you enjoy the process. So for me, I think walking works the best.
Personally, like I would agree that when you walk, you get your cardio workout in. You don't have to do cardio at the gym. But one thing about me was I actually I had ridden the birds before, but what I actually did was I actually purchased my own electric scooter, and I noticed it saved me a lot of time. Sometimes you can get tired walking between classes, so I actually timed how long it took me to go from where I live in Saxon Suites to my classes in like Rolfe Hall or Royce, and it took me about 4 minutes to go from there. So if you can, I think it's a good investment if you buy a $300 or $400 scooter versus paying for a bird where you're maybe paying like $1 to $2 per ride. Maybe invest into a scooter where you can use it for years.
I also walk everywhere on campus, and it is a good workout. UCLA is a hilly campus. Actually, one of the best pieces of advice or like descriptions I got of campus was that it's like a bowl. So it goes like this, you know? And so, yeah, a lot of good walking. You're gonna have great legs if you come here.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Well, now that we're talking about commuting and Los Angeles, what is there to do in LA, and is it pretty feasible to get around the city?
Yeah, I'd say so. There's so many public transportation options to get around. There is also Uber and Lyft, but we're in a really prime location in terms of getting to other places in like not too long amounts of time. So like Santa Monica is right next door, and there's the pier and the beach and the promenade where there's a bunch of shops and movie theaters. Westwood also has its own movie theaters, but there's a lot of options. LA, like depending on what you like, there's also nearby hiking routes if you're not a beach person. So there's a little of everything for you here.
You know, so LA is LA. You know, LA has so many things. You can go to the Griffith Observatory. You could go hiking. You could go to the Hollywood sign. If you're into bars, they have many bars throughout the city. There's Diddy Reese, there's art museums. Basically, there's Beverly Hills. So basically, whatever you choose, whatever your interests are, it will be in LA. And there's various transportation options throughout campus and throughout the city.
Yeah, I agree. I was born and raised in LA, so I kind of like not in LA, but like kind of like the suburbs of LA. So this was kind of like the place you came to kind of like go out and like explore places, and the beach is so close. So if you are, you know, looking forward to like kind of like a beach life too, that is possible, and that's super close. I know on campus they put on a lot of events as well. So sometimes you don't even have to go out to find that like entertainment. Like they have movie screenings. I know like if you live on campus and stuff, they also put on like little events like that. So there's always something going on, so there's never a dull moment.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. And now just to close the student panel, I want to ask all of you, what is one piece of advice that you would give to our recently admitted transfer students?
All right, I guess I'll start it off. So I think for sure, I know how nervous I was coming into it, so it's okay, it'll work out. There's resources here, there's people that actually care here, and you will find your way. Like, you got admitted for a reason, so believe in that, because if you don't believe in that, it's gonna inhibit you from actually having fun here and actually becoming a part of the community. So just focus on that and believe in yourself, and you got this, guys.
I would agree. An important component of success is believing in yourself and believing that you can accomplish your goals. I say when you're coming into UCLA, you have to realize it's going to be different from how your community college was. You need to stay on top of your game, start connecting, getting into the right orgs. It's not really about quantity, it's more about quality and finding things that you're passionate about. I suggest right when you come on campus, you meet Heather Adams, the director of the Transfer Center. She's a great lady, and she will help you out in anything you need. And the Transfer Center is a great resource, and there's many resources across campus that will help transfer students get assimilated into the school.
I'd say the two most important things I've learned here is time management and the importance of mental health. So I would definitely say or recommend that you get a planner or figure out and I'm sure you already have the ways that work for you in terms of managing your time. So really just rely on those. That's so important because you can really do anything here if you can manage your time. I think in life in general. But the second thing too, like I said, is mental health. And there is mental health. It's definitely prioritized here on our campus, and there is the CAPS resource that Heather might be able to talk about later in this program. But definitely figure out what helps you relax when you're not feeling well or when you're stressed, because you will be challenged here. But there are also ways where you can get help on campus. And it's such a supportive community, like Anu said, and you'll be fine. Don't try not to be nervous and like really just focus on how exciting this is. And hopefully this is the school for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you to our panel. This is very wonderful, getting to know each one of you, and hopefully our students also might have or come up with more questions, but this might be helpful as they're deciding which university they're going to be choosing as they move forward with their higher education. At this point, we're going to transition a little bit. I'll have my student panel here. I am going to step out a little bit, and we're going to bring our wonderful Heather Adams from the Transfer Center. Give it up for Heather.
How do you know how hard it was for me to be quiet that whole time? I wanted to cheer you all on.
All right, so coming over.
Okay.
Heather Adams is going to be with you for the next 15 minutes. Ask any questions that you have about resources. She's going to go into some details. I'm going to be on the chat, so if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to connect with all of you too as well. But thank you.
I was answering as the Transfer Center, just so you know.
All right.
You're welcome to answer as the Transfer Center, or me, since it's my account.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. You all were amazing. Thank you. Woo-hoo! Yeah. Woo! Welcome, new transfer admits. We are so excited that you're here. So where do I even start? Okay, so Chris gave me a really great introduction. Thank you so much. And thank you for that lovely call out.
It's from the heart.
I love it. I love it. I could feel it. I was just feeling it over there. So my name is Heather Adams. I oversee our Transfer Student Center here at UCLA. I was a transfer student, so this is something I'm incredibly passionate about. Hopefully you can tell that. My enthusiasm, it comes authentically. I was a 37-year-old transfer student. I was on the 20-year plan, so I have a really non-traditional educational path. And I really found my professional calling in my community at UCLA. So it was something I was a little unsure of, right? In community college, there were other non-traditional students. Everyone seemed to be kind of figuring it out. I really found a lot of people at community college I could connect to. And when I got to UCLA, I was nervous that I wasn't going to be able to find that community. And also as a non-trad, I'll admit, I was like thinking, I'll just come here, get my degree and leave, right? You know, I didn't think I would plug in and be like the biggest cheerleader for UCLA that's ever existed. And I thought as somebody with a non-traditional path, I would probably do some research or make some friends with some professors and you know, get my degree and move on. I didn't think I would join student groups or create student groups or utilize resources or become part of a community, which was super surprising to me, and that's exactly what happened. I ended up creating 2 student orgs while I was here. One student organization for non-traditional students, for students over 25, because I felt a little bit like a ghost on campus. I wanted to meet other people over the age of 25 who were maybe going to happy hour every once in a while, or, you know, not living on campus because I was a commuter student and I'd been married 22 years, and I wanted to meet other people who were having that shared experience. And then I also created a group called SMC to UCLA, boom, for folks, yeah, woohoo, proud to be, so that we could connect on campus with each other as SMC Corsairs, and so that we could also go back to SMC and talk to prospective transfers who are interested. So that's a little bit about me, just so you know what perspective I'm coming from. The Transfer Student Center is a really great resource. Thank you all for mentioning that, and I'm glad that it was a good resource for you as you are making your transition in. We do sort of 5 different things at the Transfer Center in terms of support. One, it's just a space, right? It's a space on campus for you to meet others with shared experience. Everybody who works there is a transfer student. We've got our transfer student mentors there. We have one-on-one office hours with me or with any of the staff, but we also try to make the university a little bit smaller. So we've got campus partners from academic counseling, from CAPS, Counseling and Psychological Services, which is one of our incredible resources for mental health, for any issues and stress that you may be dealing with. We've got a lot of resources that I'm going to talk about that really help with health and wellness. They come and do office hours at the transfer center, so you don't have to go traipsing all over campus to find things, since you know you're probably a little bit concerned about that like 2 or 3 year timeline that you have as a transfer. And I think one thing that you might have heard from the students as they kind of talked about their experiences, you're gonna have time. So, you know, whether you're on the fence and you're thinking, oh, I don't know if UCLA is right for me or not, or whether you're for sure coming here, but you're a little bit nervous about this timeline, I think we can all say it's gonna be challenging and it's gonna be fast, but you have time. If you prioritize, if you plan ahead, if you're utilizing the resources and mining information of the current seasoned transfers who've been here and who have thrived, you will have time to plug in and make the most of your time here at UCLA and make the most of this incredible opportunity at this university. So at the Transfer Center, the space provides a little bit of that, making the university smaller, trying to connect you with those resources so you don't have to, you know, go through all the red tape of trying to figure out where everything is. You could just come to one place and hopefully we can plug you into the person who knows the answer to your question or concern. Or even if you don't know the answer, hopefully we can help get a conversation started so that you understand a little bit more of what you're curious about. So, space to meet other transfers, to make the university smaller. We do tons of events. We have a lot of social media outreach. So if you aren't on our transfer Facebook social media, like we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Snapchat, we're on YouTube, oh my gosh, everywhere. So just, you know, look up Bruin Transfers or UCLA Transfers on any of those platforms and you'll find us. We also have an incredible Transfer Mentor program. A Transfer Mentor sitting right here in our presence. Are you a mentee by any chance?
I'm not.
Not? Okay.
No, I'm thinking about being a mentee.
Oh, you have to apply.
Yeah.
Look, I'm recruiting right now. So you will have an awesome Transfer Mentor next year when you're here. And that really helps with connecting you as a new incoming transfer to people who've been through it. They can share insights, share knowledge, build up some agency in you so that you can come here and just hit the ground running. So a space to hang out in and meet other people, events, social media outreach, a mentor program, and then we do a lot of advocacy. We work with transfer student groups, the Transfer Student Leadership Coalition, transfer groups like the pre-law group, like our first gen group that just started this quarter. I don't know if you know about that yet, but we just started a first gen college student group here on campus for first gen college students. Super excited. They had their first meeting on Monday, so I'm very excited about it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but 1 in 3 undergrad students here are first gen.
That is true. So a third of undergrads at UCLA are first gen college students, so first in their family to graduate from college or go to college. What percentage of transfer students do you think are first gen?
Oh.
55%.
That's a good guess. It's about 42%. So about 42% of, yeah, it's almost half of transfer students. So how many, actually I like this line of questioning. How many transfers are at UCLA?
35%?
So it's 35% of the incoming class, so that's really good to know. About 3,200 incoming transfers each fall quarter, so a large amount. Like how many transfers total do you think? 9,112, very specific. Not quite, a little bit lower than that. About a third of it, 8,500. We're at 7,381 at the moment. So sometimes that's higher or lower depending on if the new students are coming in or not, who's graduating in 2 years or 3 years. So a lot of students, it's about 30% of the undergrad population. It's a big community and it's a really friendly, open community. I mean, I don't know, I can talk about it from my perspective, but it sounds like all of you have been able to plug in and find your communities within the community.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say your favorite thing about the transfer community is?
I'd have to say the diversity, because it's from all over California, and I get to meet students from so many different places and cultures, and ages too.
And we have a transfer here who's 15, and we have a transfer who's 73. And we have transfers every single age in between.
So cool.
To give you some perspective of that diversity of life experience.
And like, think about what your classroom experience is like when you have those perspectives. Like, it just really changes what class experience is like when you have people who are able to speak on so many different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to agree with that. It's almost a blessing to see how many different perspectives that can come in. People from different walks of life, people like you would have never thought that you would see here. Many people. It's just amazing to look at, like Andrea said, the diversity here on campus is amazing. And I really think that when you interact with so many transfers, you kind of look at how diverse the broad UCLA community is.
I agree with that, and also my favorite thing personally has been how willing everyone in the transfer community, whether they're first year, whether they're the second year, whether they're staff, have been to help you out. Like, I had heard rumors before I'd come, like, oh no, like, you're not going to get any help, like, if you're in the class you're going to be alone. And then actually being here and talking, and this is like, and it's so funny because no, but like, those are like sometimes like the rumors out there, but when you come in and you actually experience it, literally the transfer students, or even like the students just in my classes, they've gone out of their way to help you. And that's something that you would think, like, it's a quarter system, everything's fast, why would someone want to take time out of their schedule to do that? But they did, and I think that's my favorite part.
I love that you brought that up, because one of the questions somebody had asked is about competition, right? And how competitive. They were specifically asking about the humanities, and how competitive the humanities were. Yeah.
We're not competitive at all. Like, we help each other out. Like, I've never felt a competitive sense with any of my peers in humanities. I don't know what that's like for STEM, but yeah, there's not a competitive bone in like anyone who I've encountered at all. Like, we help each other out. We're like so open with each other, and yeah, I've felt that.
And from a departmental point of view, the humanities department is one of the most transfer friendly. I mean, everybody here is trying to build transfer receptive culture, but the humanities department specifically reaches out to the transfer center. We've done transfer awareness trainings with the TAs and the faculty. They're working on some digital humanities online structures to help transfers navigate resources. So the humanities department specifically has been incredibly transfer friendly. But what else? Have you felt competitive spirit here? Have you felt that sometimes in certain majors it can be a little bit competitive?
I would say, if you're at the #1 public university in America, we do have a sense of a competitive streak. Sure. But one thing about us is it's a healthy competitive streak where we're collaborating with each other, we're helping each other out, we're building each other up instead of one person trying to be at the top and another person always has to be at the bottom. We're constantly bringing ourselves up. You can make study groups. TAs are very friendly. Professors are very open to coming.
What are TAs exactly? At community college, I had never had a TA.
Right.
Yeah,
what is a TA? What's that experience been like for you?
So TAs are teacher assistants. They're usually grad students who there's usually 1 to 2 per class, and they're there to help facilitate discussions. If you have a section, they'll control that. And basically, if you have any questions, both the professors and TAs are helpful resources to you. One thing I noticed was I came in and I was like, you're going to have classes of 300 students. The professor and TA is not even going to remember your name. But that's not even true. You go to the professors, you get to know them, and they'll remember you, and that's a connection that can be helpful for letters of recs and throughout your academic journey.
And TAs, or teaching assistants, also do office hours, and also write letters of rec. So that it's really good to utilize those resources and utilize those sort of mentors and point people.
And if you're really fearful of not feeling accepted, like I said, UCLA is so accepting of transfers. I've never been felt, how do I say this? I've never been made to feel less than traditional students who enter as freshmen, ever, like by anyone. So that's been my experience.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Basically, they've told us how we saved 2 years of our undergraduate money and finance.
Yeah,
That's
like
what they
I
have.
feel even celebrated.
It's a smart, financially feasible way of doing it. Yeah. Competition though, because
Yeah.
you have a little bit more of the life sciences, right, in STEM.
Yeah.
How is it there?
And I was a bio major, and I like always plan on going to pre-med, so I took like OChem here and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I would say there's a little bit more competitiveness in those classes as
Mhm.
compared to as some of the other like psychology classes I've taken.
Mhm.
But it hasn't been to the extent where it's like oh, someone's stepping over you or treating you bad in a way of like, you know, like all those, I guess, like perceptions someone might have like of how competitive it is. It's more just like most of the classes too, the professors are super helpful. Like they want to see you succeed. Like when they do the curve, there's only a few classes that do the curve, and they're mostly the STEM classes. And I think that's when the competitiveness comes in. But it's never to the point where it's like gonna hurt you. It's more just, okay, it's there, but you're also at a great university, and if you put in the work, you will succeed. That's the bottom line.
Going back a little bit to that kind of question about the transition, one thing that we sometimes don't talk about is how different the classroom is from a community college classroom. I had a lot of interaction with my community college professors. Classes were probably 40 tops, people in them. I didn't have TAs. What was that like when you first walked into like a bio class or one of your first classes? What was that experience in the classroom like, where you had 300 people all of a sudden and you were trying to find your space in class?
It's overwhelming. I kind of have had like the balance of having that smaller class here and then having those bigger classes, and I'm so grateful for the TAs for breaking up those sections and having that little like, okay, I can breathe, I can ask questions, because when everyone's like especially my OChem class, like it was a whole lecture hall and all the seats would be filled. So it's really, and I recommend, if there's anything you can do and you walk into it and you feel overwhelmed, connect to the people around you. Like say like, hey, my name's this, I'm a transfer student, like talk to them, because the more connected you feel in your class, even if it's huge, you'll want to come more, you'll want to like pay attention more. And if you have a question, you can ask them, and you can kind of be like, okay, let's go ask the professor, let's go into office hours together. So you do have to make that initiative in those overwhelming classes to just connect with one or two people around you, and that's so easy because you're sitting next to them.
Yeah, one thing I would say as well, like you walk into that classroom and there's like 300, 350 people, and you feel like instead of having a name, you're just like an ID number, or you're just like a serial number. But then you realize as you go in, everyone has that exact same feeling. So if you're the one, you should be the one, break the ice, get to know people around you. You can set up study groups. There's so many things that you can do to make your experience worthwhile, even in these big classes. And I can tell you the professors and the TAs all throughout their classes, it's almost like, even at community college where I was connected to professors, I was probably in their office hours even more. Even over here at UCLA, I feel that same energy from professors where they want to help us out.
I've had small classes,
good.
kind of like the same size as my community college. So it really depends on your major. And like I said at the beginning, I'm an English major. So I've definitely found that it is a diverse group of students too. And that'll vary depending on your major, like I said, or minor, if you pick one up.
So I want to talk about resources, because somebody also asked a question about like, what resource do you wish you had used, or did you find out about your senior year and not know about? But one statement about kind of the classroom that we don't talk about a lot. UCLA, if you're still on the fence about UCLA is an R1 research university. I had no idea what that meant when I came here. I just kind of wanted to come to UCLA. Right? I was like, I want to go to UCLA. It's an amazing school. Yay. And then I got here and I was like, okay, so this thing called research that y'all talk about, what is it? So I'm glad that you talked about kind of the classroom, research articles, journal articles. I had never read one before I came here before. It's pretty research focused here at UCLA, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And what did that mean to you, having come from a community college where you weren't focused on research? Like, what was that shift in your brain? Did you have to make one? Was it a conscious thing of like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be? Or how was that for you?
I mean, I'm not involved in research, But if you do want to get involved in research, there are numerous ways that where you can, but don't feel like you have to be involved in research, because even though it is a research university, and that's a big reason why professors even work here, you don't have to be involved in research. So don't feel like you will be pressured, or that your undergrad experience won't be the same if you don't get involved. It's definitely just a personal choice.
Mhm.
Personally, for me, I'm on a pre-law path, so it's not as much research intensive. But one thing I can tell you is that personally, I'm a psychology major, so I've talked to professors, and I've been involved in departmental issues. So if you're registered on the email list, there's constantly email blasts telling you about specific conferences or specific research opportunities. In your own psychology classes, the TAs may make an announcement. They're looking for interns, they're looking for research assistants. And also, if you want to, for example, go do research for a specific professor. I was actually talking to a professor about this. They told me, you go to the professor, you might talk to them about some of their research, get to know them, maybe sit in on some of their research findings or their experiments, and maybe slide in there that you're interested in doing research. And many of the times the professors will be more than open. They're looking for people to help them out in research. So you just have to take initiative, and the things will come to you.
Right, yeah. So I've actually, even at my community college, I was involved in research just because of my, where I'm headed. So there was a lot of research involvement in community college, and when I came here, it was kind of a different system, because at community college, you kind of just fall into it because it's such a small class, you kind of hear about it, and you're like, oh, I want to do that, and you talk to them in person, it's so easy. Here, it was a little bit of a different process, and I kind of got involved in it in my senior year, and I got pretty lucky because I had a cognitive science class with one of the research heads, and I love that class. That was a class that I was like, oh my God, I love this. I'm so involved in this. And it kind of I was like, I wonder, I had so many questions. And I was just looking on the Cognitive Science UCLA page for potential research labs and stuff like that. And I saw his name, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a wild shot, and I'm just going to email him and be like, I'm super interested in this. I want to see what this is about. And his lab was on perception and technology, things I'm really interested about. And he was like, and it was so fast. He didn't interview me. He kind of knew me from class. And he was like, you know what? I'm starting this time. This is our experiment. If you're interested, be there. Let's do this.
Wow. I love that you did that. That's awesome.
But it's taking those chances. If something excites you, follow it. That's the biggest thing. You don't need to know where you're going, but if something excites you, follow it.
Yeah, I love that advice. I love that. It just says there's not one way to do it, right? You just
shoot your shot.
Exactly. Shoot your shot. I love it. Woo! All right. So real quick, one resource that you wish you had used, or that you found out about a little too late, so that we can prep new transfers of something that they should jump into right away. And then I'm going to go into a couple of questions.
Okay, so I did not find out about this senior year. I actually found this about my first year, but it's so important that I really want to talk about
I love it. Tell me.
So it's
Tell
CAPS.
us.
So it's CAPS. So if you have insurance through ASHI and you're kind of involved, you get about 6 to 8 sessions. I'm not really sure how many.
What does CAPS stand for?
I just know it's great. What does it stand for?
Counseling and Psychological Services.
There we go. There we go.
CAPS.
Yeah.
You're going to hear that we use lots of acronyms, so definitely call us on it in the Facebook, and we'll tag you in the website, tag the website or the Facebook group of that resource. But CAPS.
Yeah.
Counseling and Psychological Services, hands down fantastic.
Hands down, yeah. And I personally, just when I came in, it wasn't even the academic, it was more just personal life. Things come up and you can never expect what's coming. You kind of just have to roll with the punches.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a time where I was like, oh my God. And one of the counselors, I had gone into an academic counselor, I was just talking to them about how I wanted to plan things out. And they were like, you know what, go to CAPS, they'll help you out. And that was a crucial point, because I was this close to just kind of crying, and I was and I went in, and it kind of softened me up, and it was kind of you know what, it's okay, they're gonna help you, they talk to it, and it's free, so why not take a part of it? And there's nothing I know there's a lot of emphasis on mental health, but there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's more just take a part of it and try it out. What are you gonna lose? Nothing.
And you had mentioned there's lots of health and wellness resources here. CAPS is one, and it's very great. And if you have insurance through the university or even outside insurance, you have a certain amount of sessions with CAPS, counseling and psychological services. But know that as a transfer, they also do drop-in hours at the transfer center. So even if you can't get into your sessions through the CAPS actual appointment system, you're allowed 2 sessions at the transfer center. So that's like kind of on the download for transfers, but now it's public. So you actually can have that. That's not kind of included in the 6 sessions. So that's a really nice thing, just specifically for transfers. They know the transition can be really challenging. So they've made a commitment to do hours at the transfer center for transfers, veterans, non-traditional students. So that's something that's also great. There's also GRIT, peer-to-peer coaching program, which is a peer coaching program all about health and wellness and resources. Time management, you have a one-on-one peer coach who talks you through stress management, time management techniques, and can get you plugged into the resources. There's also a program called RISE. It's a new resiliency program that we have here. They actually have a center now on campus where they do meditation sessions, they do peer networking and one-on-ones, they do stress management workshops, time management workshops, meditation, I think I mentioned, in yoga. It's a really great resource. And I could kind of keep listing them, but for the mental health and wellness, it's a serious commitment here on campus to it. Resource.
So one thing I would say, and Heather talked about it, is the transfer center itself. I noticed most transfers are aware of it. Many transfers, they might not know about the transfer center, where it is. So it is in Kirkhoff. Do you know what the specific room is?
I do. I have an in.
I wonder why.
It is in Kirkhoff Hall, which is right on main campus next to the Ackerman Student Union, room 128. You will probably hear us when you enter Kirkhoff Hall.
Absolutely.
Because I have a loud voice, and if I'm in, I tend to be doing an 8 clap or something fun like that. I just, in my spare time, do a lot of 8 claps.
So yeah, so the UCLA Transfer Center, great resource. One thing I'd also say is get on Facebook. Make sure you're active on Facebook. If you don't have an account, open an account, because exactly, Facebook will help you. It'll tell you about social events going on campus, extracurricular events going on campus. If you need advice related to classes, what professors to take, or even lab opportunities, you join Facebook pages. One Facebook page you guys need to join is the UCLA Transfer Students. And I believe the commuters also have a Facebook page if you're looking for
I already
roommates.
tagged it in the thing too.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. So 2 things. Be aware of the transfer center, visit it. Heather's gonna be there. She's the nicest person, and you will learn anything you need and any help you need. And also open a Facebook and just to get assimilated into the social media culture on campus too.
There's also Facebook groups according to the class that you think you'll graduate in.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm a part of the class of 2020 group. A resource that I recommend using on campus would honestly probably just be financial aid. I've gone in numerous times just like to ask questions or to raise any concerns I have, and they're so open to questions. And sometimes you either have to make an appointment in advance, but in my experience, I've just walked in and I just have to wait like maybe 5 minutes, and then I get my question answered or questions. And they're like super nice, and they really are able to break things down for you if you're confused about something on your Bruin bill or your financial aid for the next quarter, anything that you may need. So definitely go there, and they're in Murphy Hall.
And one really great point with financial aid that a lot of students don't know about this, you are actually assigned a financial aid officer who's your personal financial aid officer. If you go onto the financial aid website and you look up under staff, each staff member has a certain section of the alphabet of last names of the students they oversee. So you actually have a person that you can personally send a direct message to through the message center on your My UCLA portal, which by the way is your portal into everything UCLA. Honestly, it sounds really silly, but I would just spend some hours this summer, like if you're for sure coming here, yeah, it's like hours, right? And click on every single tab.
Yeah.
Click on every single tab because it will take you everywhere. I mean, everything is on there. It is the collection of resources at UCLA. We often talk about like how do we get everything in one place on one website? Well, guess what? It's already there. Just click on everything because you're going to be surprised what you find. But one of the great resources is the Message Center. You can shoot emails to college academic counseling, to academic advancement program, which I'm going to talk about in a second, to financial aid, to your personal financial aid advisor. That person oversees your account, and you can make an appointment with them and sit down with them to talk through it. We also have a really great financial wellness program here on campus called FWP, Financial Wellness Program. And that program has a lot of peer mentor resources. They have incredible financial resource guide on their website. You can make one-on-one appointments with them to talk about loans, to explain your financial aid package, to talk about taxes. They have have people who help you fill out your taxes. They have discount codes. They had workshops on budgeting, on coupons, on special deals and websites and apps that are really help you budget and help you really manage your finances. So that's a really great resource as well. And then I would also just say, there are 5 gazillion resources at UCLA. So even if you're not sure what question to ask, start sharing with folks, if you're comfortable with it, about what it is you're curious about. If there's an issue you're having, if there's some specific corner of the world that you're curious about, I guarantee you there's someone on this campus who can help you with that opportunity or that issue. The Career Center is a very underused resource that's incredible, and you should use it before you graduate, because you can there's endless amounts of resources there. They're doing a lot of specific events for transfers, for first-gen students, to help prepare you for the transition out of UCLA. Because believe it or not, it's kind of a 2-year transition. Your first year, you're transitioning in and getting your legs and figuring out this university. And then your second year, you're transitioning out and figuring out what life after UCLA is going to look like. I know we had a couple of questions about taking on a second major, a double major, probably minors and switching majors. Those questions tend to be really common. My blanket statement on that is you can take on a double major. It's challenging, but you just need permission from the 2 departments that you're thinking of taking the double majors from. If they're in different colleges, however, you can't do that. So if you're thinking that you want to major in psychology and also major in theater, and go to the School of Film and Television, you're not going to be able to do that because you weren't enrolled in both colleges. So there's a few different colleges under the umbrella of the university. But if you're a psychology major and you're thinking of double majoring in something like poli-sci or something that's in the College of Letters and Sciences, that is doable. You just have to start early. You'll want to meet with a counselor your first quarter here and let them know that that's your plan. You need to get permission from both departments, and usually you have to fulfill some prerequisites or even some forms and some applications that might be required depending on the major. Each major is slightly different. Did anybody here double major? No. Did anybody take on a minor? Lots of transfers take on minors. It's really easy to take on minors, especially STEM majors, a little more challenging because STEM majors, you're going to need to take more classes to fulfill your requirements. But for humanities and social science majors, double majors and minors are completely doable because you have room in your schedule to take extra electives, to take extra courses. So know that that's something that is absolutely in the cards for you. You can do study abroad programs that work kind of as minors. You can do research that you can get class credit for, and you can take on minors or take electives in other things you're interested in. There is time for that.
One thing I also noticed is sometimes people might be confused because they get in. So I'm a psychology major, and many people might get in as a pre-psychology major. So one thing to note about that is if you get in for a pre-psych major, for example, once you're admitted into the school, then you have to finish a certain number of classes. So if you're a psych major, you complete Psych 100A and Psych 100B, and then you submit a major verification form to your specific department, and that's how you become a psych major, for example. And I believe that's how it would work.
With most, yeah. With almost all majors, especially for humanities and social sciences, you usually are entered as pre, and it just means you have to take those required courses. They can be challenging. They want to make sure that you're really serious about being a psych major, or whatever your chosen major is. So just know that everyone's usually having to go through that process, and yeah, you would probably have to do that if you were taking on a double major.
Perfect. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to our student panel. Thank you to Heather, my colleague Adriana as well. We hope this is really helpful for all of you as you're choosing your campus. And if you are admitted and you want to learn a little bit more about what are the next steps, Adriana and myself, we're going to be joining Zoom. So we're going to be doing a presentation for next steps at 5 p.m. So in the next half an hour, we're just going to be prepping. But it's going to be a really short next presentation, about like 15 minutes. Everything that you need to do for next steps. So everything that is more critical. So we hope that you can tune in later on. But thank you to our students and Heather. So
Thank
we hope to
you.
see you at UCLA.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Bye. It was so nice talking to you. Was awesome.
Are we all?
Probably not.